Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a review, a demo, and a wear test on the new Chanel Ultra Teint Velvet Foundation. So this is actually a reformulated version of Chanel's old formula of the Ultra Teint Velvet. And from my understanding from looking at the ingredient comparison, this new formulation has removed the SPF and has also removed the talc, which I'm very thankful for. I've kind of mentioned this a bit, but I am trying to be a little bit more aware of the ingredients that I'm putting on my skin. So I'm really trying to avoid specific certain ingredients. However, I do want to say that there is still a very, very strong fragrance to this foundation. Like, to me, this smells like straight up perfume. And I know that's pretty typical in luxury foundations and in luxury products, but to me there's a difference because in something like the Chanel Sous Blamage L'Essence de Teint, this doesn't smell like, this has a fragrance to it, like it is a fragrance product, but it doesn't smell like a perfume. It smells like it's almost naturally fragranced with just the ingredients that are placed in this foundation, where this straight up smells like an overly fragrant perfume. Like, it just smells so fragrant, like it's wild. But anyways, I just wanted to mention that this is a fragrance product in case you are someone that tries to avoid those, because that is just something to be aware of. I picked this up in the shade B30, and I knew I had to try out this foundation because this says it's a blurring smooth effect foundation with a velvet matte finish. Now, I am someone that does not really prefer a matte finish just because I have dry skin, and usually I prefer something that has a little bit of a glow. However, I have been reaching for more matte foundations, especially when I want something to be really blurred on the skin. And I do enjoy a matte foundation, especially because matte foundations have come a long way on the market. They have more sophisticated finish. They definitely don't have that dry, flat matte finish. I feel like matte foundations these days, especially from luxury brands, they tend to be this matte finish that still has a skin quality texture to it. So it gives you more of that, again, a natural velvet finish, which is exactly what this says. So just because I have dry skin, I am going to be aware that this could be drying on me. So I have gone ahead and applied my skincare about 20 minutes ago. I'm not going to alter my skin with any primers or anything. I'm just going to kind of leave my skin be. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this foundation. So the Ultra Teint Velvet is a long-wearing foundation that naturally smooths and creates an even-looking complexion. It features a blurring effect that conceals all imperfections and offers a matte velvet makeup look. Ultra light with an ultra-natural matte finish, it blends instantly and seamlessly with the skin for a perfect complexion all day long. The soft emulsion is suitable for normal and combination skin types, providing a flawless result. So I do want to note, as someone with dry skin, this is technically not meant for my skin type. It says that it is meant for normal and combination skin types. So again, in my review, I am going to be aware of that fact. So this is something that's specifically exclusive to this Chanel foundation. It says that it is exclusive to this formula. It's called the Skin Affinity Complex, which blurs the look surface irregularities. I feel like they kind of messed up that sentence. It doesn't really make that much sense. But it says blurs the look surface irregularities and instantly smooths the appearance of pores with the help of blurring effect powders, which were selected by the Chanel laboratories. Delivers all-day wear thanks to a naturally derived film-forming agent that envelops the skin within the House of Chanel. So while I'm doing this review, I'm going to make sure that this is long-wearing. It's a very blurring fit finish on the skin. So again, it's going to give that more soft focus effect. And I'm sure you guys just want to get into the review. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a good shake. I definitely want the skin to be the star of the show today. And I'm actually doing this before the start of my day. Like, I'm going to the gym after this, so this is going to be a wear test where I'm actually putting this foundation to good use because I'm going to go to the gym. After the gym, I have to work a full day at my normal daytime job, and then after work, I have a hair appointment, so I'm going to come back, and again, this will be for an all-day wear test, and I'm just going to go ahead, like I said, give this a good shake, and I am going to... This is a very like liquidy, serum-like, very thin consistency. So again, this is the shade B30. B30 is my normal Chanel foundation. I tend to sit right in between B30 and B40. And like I said, it is very, very fragranced. When I apply this, actually, I'm just going to show this quickly, to the back of my hand, again, it's that very thin serum-like consistency. The consistency is very similar actually to the Chanel Sous Blamage L'Essence de Teint. But this does have a really nice silky finish. Like when I feel it, the consistency of this feels very velvety. And I can tell, like, on the back of my hand, it does dry down, but it doesn't dry down to a flat finish. It just glides over the back of my hand. And since the back of your hand does contain pores, I can actually see how smooth this foundation makes the back of my hand look. So I do think this is going to be a very smoothing foundation. I feel like because this is one of those more velvety foundations, it actually does look like it dries down a little bit darker. Like once it's dried down on the skin, it might oxidize just like half a shade. So that's something to be aware of. But I'm just using this Reformulation 4 brush, and I am just distributing this foundation evenly onto the palm of my hand. And then I'm getting it really evenly distributed into these bristles. And I'm just going to apply it all over the skin. So I can definitely, like, the fragrance is quite intense when I am initially applying this foundation onto my skin. I can definitely, wow, yeah, it's a very strong fragrance. I can really notice it upon initial application. To me, it's a little bit, like, it reminds me of the Dior stick foundation, and that it's just a little bit too fragrant for something that I would use on an everyday basis because it's so highly fragranced. I just know it's not going to be good for my skin. So this is a foundation that I will only reserve for special occasions or certain situations when I want my complexion to either A, last a very long time, or have that really nice blurring effect, which again will probably be more special occasions. It is very blurring on the skin. And even though this is a matte velvet foundation, like it does say it's for normal and combination skin types, it's really pretty. Like, it doesn't look too dry on my skin. It looks really, really nice. So I'm just gonna go on any areas where I maybe have a little more to cover up. But I'm only applying, like, I would say it's equivalent to 2 pumps of foundation, maybe 1.5 pumps. I am someone that likes to be a little more light-handed, but this definitely is smoothing over. Like, wow, it makes your skin look very, very smooth. That is very impressive. And I feel like the color is good. It's not oxidizing as dark as it did on my hand, but maybe it just needs to dry on my skin first. But it does look really, really beautiful. Like I said, it looks very blurring on my complexion. And even though it's classified as that velvet matte finish, I don't think it's emphasizing any dryness on my skin so far. My camera just died in the middle of filming that, but I really like this foundation because even though I am dry, and I just started incorporating a prescription strength retinoid into my routine, this does not look too drying. It's not emphasizing any dryness, and I am like quite dry around my nose right now. And it's not making that area look worse. Like, things are looking very, very, very blurred and smooth. And I like how I'm not a flat matte. Like, I still see dimension in my skin. I don't look completely flat. There's still, like, I don't want to say there's a glow, but I do have some life to my skin still. And I'm going to move on to concealer. I'm going to take the Givenchy Prisme Libre Skin Caring Concealer. And I'm just going to apply that right under the eyes. And I want to create that lifted look on the outer corner. So I do like to apply a little bit of concealer there as well. I'm just going to take a BK Beauty N16, and I'm going to blend this into the skin. I'm going to do something super simple for the rest of my makeup. I'm actually going to be testing out this foundation today. Like, I'm applying this in the morning, and I'm going to go to the gym. And the workout that I have scheduled for today is definitely going to be more of a sweaty one where I'm pushing myself a little bit more. So that will be a good test, I feel like, because I definitely will be working up a sweat. And I want to keep things still looking light. Well, I mean, not super light. This is definitely like not a no makeup. You can still, like, you can't, it's not a super detectable, like, it's not like it's cakey or anything. It's just not super, super no makeup. Like, it's not undetectable makeup by any means. I want to keep my products pretty consistent on what I normally do on an everyday basis, just so, again, you can see these products really shine. So I'm going to do no eye makeup, and I'm just going to take the Hermes Healthy Glow Mineral Powder and a Reformulation 22 brush, and I'm just going to bronze up the skin. Again, I'm not going to do anything too crazy. I just want this to be a super quick and easy makeup look where the complexion really shines, that's definitely going to be the focal point. So just a light amount of that. And then I also want to show you guys these Chanel blushes in action. So these are the Chanel cream to powder blushes in the shade Beige Eclatant and then Rose Ardent. So we have the warmer toned and then the cooler toned. And honestly, my favorite way to use these is to mix them together. So I like to literally dip back and forth between the two. So you can see I'm just literally going back and forth. And then as always, I'll take that excess product off on the back of my hand. And then I'll just tap it onto the skin going back and forth. And I really enjoy these blushes because they do not look powdery at all. Even though these are a powder blush formula, they are not emphasizing skin texture. They are not sitting on top of the skin. They really do become one with this complexion and they just really melt right in. So I really enjoy that. You're not going to detect any sort of powderiness to the skin at all. Just going back in with a little bit more of those. They really are just so beautiful to skin. Like they really are skin softening, they're skin smoothing. They are just, yeah, they become one with the skin. It's a really, really beautiful combination. And for the lips today, I'm just going to do, again, something really simple. I just have a lip balm on and I'm going to top that with this Surratt Lipslique in the shade Hevyn. I love these. These are very similar to like the Chantecaille lip cheeks. They're basically a lipstick lip balm hybrid. I love that shade. And then I'm going to top it with a little bit of the Victoria Beckham Posh Gloss in the shade Bikini, right onto the center of my lips. And then I always like to tap everything in so that it's really soft. I'm mostly going to keep the complexion powder free, but I just want to set the very center of my skin, like literally just right beside my nose, just in the very middle of my chin and the middle of my forehead. Just those are the areas where I get a little bit shiny throughout the day. So I just want to make sure that that doesn't get too shiny or anything. And that's what I do on an everyday basis. And then as a final step, I want a little bit of a glow. I'm going to take the Chanel, this is the Baume Essentiel in the shade Sculpting. And this balm is my favorite formula of all the balm highlighters because this one doesn't dry down on the skin, but it is the least tacky version in comparison to all the other balm formulas. Your hair doesn't get stuck to it and it doesn't disrupt any makeup that's underneath. So sometimes if you apply these balms over top, it will actually remove makeup underneath, but this one doesn't, and it just makes your skin look even better. It just looks so natural and healthy on the skin. I absolutely adore it, but this is just the complexion complete, and I really like how everything looks. I love how smooth and blurred the complexion looks, but it doesn't look like fake or phony in any way with how blurred it is. Like it still has that skin texture quality to it because you can still see freckles peeking through and a little bit of pigmentation peeking through. So I really enjoy that about this foundation is that you can still get a little bit of your skin shining through. This is more of a medium coverage finish, I would say. You can definitely build it up, but I probably wouldn't build it up past medium because then again, it can just start to look a little bit more makeup-y. That's just natural when you're doing a fuller coverage look. But you could build this up, like you could start out with a medium coverage, and if you do have pigmentation, you could just go in and spot conceal in any areas. I'm just really happy with this currently, especially for it being matte. Now, this isn't like ultra lightweight on my skin, like I can feel it a little bit, but that's just because my skin is dry and this is more of that matte velvet finish. But it doesn't feel like very tight, like sometimes matte foundations will just feel too tight on my skin. This doesn't feel too tight and I'm not getting any cracking or any emphasizing of the skin, of any dryness around my nose so far, anything like that. But like I stated, this is not an everyday foundation for me. This is something I will rely on more for special occasions. And yeah, I still like that you can see freckles shining through. Like it's not completely covering up my complexion. It's not something that's going to give me full coverage right off the bat. It is buildable to a fuller coverage, but you do have to build it up that way. And I think for me, my preferable range of coverage is more on this medium side, just because I'm someone that still likes, like I said, a little bit of freckles to show through or a little bit of discoloration. That's just something I prefer on a daily basis. But I will be back in a few hours for my final review and the wear test. I've been wearing this foundation all day long, and this is my final check-in. And I have checked in on this foundation on a consistent basis just to see how it was holding up. And now that it's the end of the day, like my face still doesn't feel very tight. Again, with someone with dry skin, sometimes that's just something to be aware of because then you know that your skin is just feeling quite dry. But my skin has never felt dry with this foundation on. I am impressed with how it holds up throughout the day. It holds up very well. It doesn't crease, it doesn't separate, it doesn't fade awkwardly. And when you are wearing a more medium, kind of a fuller coverage foundation, I think making sure it doesn't fade awkwardly is one of the biggest things to look for. And this definitely does not fade awkwardly. It remains very consistent throughout the day, which I really enjoy. It also keeps the blurring and smoothing effect. It doesn't look as smooth as it did at the very start of the day, of course. Like it looks a little bit worn in, but it still does look smoothed and blurred, just not as smoothed and blurred. I think that's pretty standard. I am actually surprisingly looking a little bit shiny in the center of my face here. I think I could just go in and powder though. Like ideally what I would do is I would use a blotting sheet because I think that works better than using a powder over top. You should go in with a blotting sheet first, but I just want to find a powder. So I'm gonna go in with this Chantecaille Perfect Blur finishing powder. I'm just gonna take any old brush. Let's see, let's take this BK Beauty N15, and I'm just going to do some quick powdering. Yeah, that looks quite nice. Like it mattified nicely again, and I think it looks kind of just as good. Maybe not just as good as when I first applied it, but it does look better. And I think I'm quite impressed with it for a matte foundation. For someone that doesn't normally like matte foundations have just come a long way. Is this a holy grail foundation for me? No, it is not. Like I said, I will not be wearing this on a daily basis because of how highly fragranced it is. But even if that wasn't the case and it wasn't highly fragranced, I still don't think this would be an everyday foundation for me just because it is that more medium coverage. So for me, I like something a bit lighter weight on the skin. I still prefer something like my Chanel Sublimage L'Essence de Teint. That's just going to be a holy grail favorite for me over something like this Ultra Le Teint Velvet. But this Ultra Le Teint Velvet, honestly, is not made for my skin type. For me, when I am going to reach for this, and I will reach for it, it's for special occasions when I want to look a little bit more glam. Because like I said, this is just a little bit too much coverage for me on a daily basis. Even though I still think it looks quite beautiful, it's just something that I am more comfortable wearing for a more special occasion. So no, this is not going to be a holy grail foundation, but I do think it is really beautiful, and I also think it's going to work really nicely for those of you with oily or combo skin types. I also think it's a great way, like, is it as good as this Chanel Sublimage? No, it's not, but it is just as blurring, and sometimes it's nice to find a foundation that is just as beautiful, but it is at a lower price. And like I said, this foundation is like literally 3 times the price of this one, so sometimes it's hard to make that sort of comparison when it's like, well, this is 3 times the price, but for me, this is still a holy grail, and I will still continue to repurchase this one because I just prefer how it looks on my skin. But I still think it is a beautiful foundation, and a lot of you guys are going to enjoy this. So I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this one. Are you interested in this foundation release from Chanel? I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I'll see you in my next video.